Yes! What's going on, everybody? Welcome! My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voiceman Studios in Toronto, Canada. It is Wednesday, August the 28th, 2024, 3:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is episode 279 of McRae Live. Do it again! Episode 279 of McRae Live. I thought I would jump on. I had some time this afternoon. It's busy here in the world of McRae, and I wanted to jump on and get a show in. We're ranking the Dr. Loomises today. There are 6, count them, 6 Dr. Loomises. Well, 1 Dr. Loomis, 6 movies. Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, and Halloween Kills. I am not including the voiceover in Halloween H2O, nor am I including the voiceover in Halloween 2018. It needs to die. Fine voiceovers, it's fine, but I'm talking about the physical presence, the acting, the man, of course, played famously by the late, great Donald Pleasence. And then, of course, Tom Jones in Halloween Kills. And it wasn't CGI, it was prosthetic. He already had a base look of Dr. Loomis already. And of course, Christopher Nelson, special effects makeup wizard Christopher Nelson, helped to complement that and bring the Dr. Loomis that was already buried beneath his pores out into the foreground, we'll say. But listen, it's a light show. This is not to be taken seriously, okay? It's just, when you're busy and you got things going, you're like, hey, that might be kind of fun. I've done a few tier lists on the channel. I've ranked all of the Michael Myers' Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger's. I've ranked all the Halloween timelines. I ranked the Halloween one-sheet posters just the other day. And today we are doing Dr. Loomis. So it should be a good one. It should be a fun one. We'll see if anybody rolls on in today. I don't know. It was a little impromptu. I just created the stream this morning, and we'll see if anybody cares. But it should be good. And, of course, there is, of course, the Malcolm McDowells. There are the Malcolm McDowell. Yes, that's true. Fair enough. There's the Rob Zombie Dr. Loomises. That is true. And I guess I should, okay. I wasn't going to put the Malcolm McDowell in there, but you know what? Fair enough. I'm going to do that right on the fly right now. I think it's probably important to do that anyway. Malcolm McDowell, Dr. Loomis. I wasn't going to because I was thinking about just the OG run. I'm always thinking in the mindset of the OG run. That tells you where I am as a fan. You know what I mean? It tells you where I am as a fan. I'm always thinking of that sort of run. I very rarely think about Rob Zombie's movies. I could not care less about those 2 movies in any shape or form at all. And so they usually fall by the wayside and I kind of forget. Now I did think about them this morning, but I thought, I'm just going to do sort of, that original run, that original canonical run and Dr. Loomis's. And of course, because Halloween Kills is connected to the 1978 original, I will include Tom Jones in that. And that's what I was going to do. But you know what? I see some people are probably going to be like, what about Malcolm McDowell? You're going to get people doing that. Fair enough. So you know what? I said to myself, if I see somebody mention it, Ethan LeBlanc is mentioning it. There's going to be a few other people that are going to mention it too, especially after the fact. Then you know what? Let's get him in there. It was there. I thought maybe, and it's that kind of thing. So we're going to get him in there. Just give me a few moments here. I'm going to just get him in there. And that's from 1. And then of course, and that would be, I'm trying to get him from, there we go. Yeah, I think that's, I'm I'm not quite sure. Oh, no, I'm pretty sure that's him from... Yes, it is. Okay, good. I'll get that one. Okay. All right. Okay, then let me just grab them. Let me just upload them here and make sure I get them in there. I got to get them in there, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops. I got to get them in there. 1 second. Let me go over here and then go over here and then... 1 second here. Go over there and then there. And then thank you for being patient with me while I do this on the fly. And okay, he's in there. All right, he's in there. So yeah, ranking the Dr. Loomises today, I think will be a fun one, including Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis. We're going to do that today on the show. If you want to get in a super chat, of course, feel free to send in a super chat while I'm back and forth. And I will, of course, get to it when we go over to the Q&A. Oh man, I'm thirsty. All right, let's get this underway. Yeah, you see, you got WHP says, I think McDowell gave a worthy enough performance to be ranked. Absolutely. I just don't care. And it's funny because, you know, I never think about the Rob Zombie movies. And I did this morning and I was like, it's like the Michael Myers. It's like when I ranked the, I did like a Michael Myers. What did I do now? There was something I did. Oh, it's like when I ranked the, I did some sort of ranking of the Halloween movies or something at one time on my channel. And I don't think I included the Rob Zombie movies. I don't think I did. I think I was just including like the main sort of timeline or something like that. I always do that. I know Rob Zombie fans are going to be pissed, but he's there. Malcolm McDowell is there. So let's jump over to the other screen and let's rank these fuckers. All right. So this is what we're looking at here. We have in the number one spot, we have, as a matter of fact, it was. Then we have, I knew in my heart that hell would not have him. And then, no! And then, a big woman. Very strange categories, but we all know the top is the best and the bottom is the worst. They're just random Dr. Loomis quotes that don't really mean much, to be totally honest with you. But here we go. Okay, so we're just going to go in order here. This is no particular order in terms of you know, just the first one had to be first. So the first one is the classic Dr. Loomis, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just bring this up here a little bit more so we have all what's going on here. The first one is Dr. Loomis. A big woman? A cookie woman? Cookie woman. Yeah, a big woman's at the bottom. So, I mean, how do you rank the Dr. Loomises? That's the thing. Like, there's a couple of them that I think would probably be towards the bottom. But Donald Pleasence is, even in the bad Halloween movies, Donald Pleasence is arguably the shining light. He's the shining light in those movies. So, you know, I tend to kind of just, you know, that's why, like, the categories are sort of nondescript, but just know, again, top is the top, bottom is the bottom, middle's the middle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's all we need to know, really. So the first one, Dr. Loomis, there he is from the original Halloween 1978. This is everything you need to know about Michael Myers is in this movie. Everything you need to know, everything that is to be known about Michael Myers is said in this movie from Dr. Loomis. Right from the moment where he says, what is it? He says, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I mean, even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, good or evil, right or wrong. I mean, everything you need to know about Michael Myers is in that movie. And Dr. Loomis elevates that movie from just a low-budget independent film to a pretty darn good low-budget independent film. The gravitas, the presence, the dialogue. He is, I mean, he keeps you watching that film. And so obviously he's going right to the top. As a matter of fact, it was. This is, I think, the best version of Dr. Loomis. And what else can be said? What else can truly be said? Now we have Halloween 6 Dr. Loomis. Now, Halloween 6 Dr. Loomis, and this is not Donald Pleasance's fault. Donald Pleasance was about 74, 75 years old at this time. And there are some people that live into their 80s and 90s and look like they're 50. And then there are some people that are 60 and look like they're 90 and behave like they're 90 and act like they're 90 and move like they're 90. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's a product of maybe your lifestyle, your genes with a G, although maybe genes with a J, you never know, tight ass genes. But you know, there's so many different, versions of people, you know, when we age. I mean, who knows, you know, so there are spry. I mean, look at, you know, Harrison Ford, when he was in his 70s, he's running around the Millennium Falcon. You got Donald Pleasance on the verge of death when he's in his 70s. So it's not his fault, but there wasn't much for him to do in this movie. Even when you watch the producer's cut, okay, yes, there's a little bit more and it adds a little more context to what's going on, but I don't think this is his best outing as Dr. Loomis, even though I like to make fun of, not fun, but I like the line, very much retired. He's just, I mean, but at the same time, he still is a redeeming quality of this movie, because I think this movie is, I mean, not quite as asshat or shit ass hat, shit ass shit as Halloween 5, but it's, although it's got better mood and better atmosphere and a better fall setting, that's true. But you know what? I'm going to stick him in, I'm going to stick him there because I don't quite think he's a big woman. But I think he's, you know, not quite in the middle. I mean, this would, or, well, I guess there really isn't a middle here because we only have 4, but you know, I think that's appropriate. I think being in I think it's appropriate. I think being in third place out of 4, that's, again, don't pay too close attention to what I've written here because they really don't mean much. I think being in third place, I think is appropriate. I don't quite think he's a big woman. I mean, maybe he's a big woman. I don't know. But anyway. And then we have Tom Jones. You know what? I'm going to say about Tom Jones? Halloween Kills, Mr. Tom Jones. Not a lot to go on. Very brief. But I got to say, I was impressed with the makeup effects that Christopher Nelson did. I was impressed with the way that Tom Jones moved. I was also impressed. My favorite moment, and this is a deep cut, and this is sort of, it may not seem much, but this is all about those nuances that I like to talk about. You know, when Tom Jones, when he comes in, he's like, you know, is he here? Did he kill again? You know, all that shit, right? And then we cut to the wide shot outside, the crane shot. It could have even been a drone because that was all in a studio. When we see Michael on the front lawn, the cops are all there pointing their guns at him, sort of beginning to emulate that cinematic tableau. And then you see in the background, Tom Jones, Dr. Loomis, he comes out of the house and he stumbles a little bit. Not stumbles like he's about to fall down, but he does a bit of a kind of a, you know, that kind of thing, like a bit of like this, and he leans up against the door. There's something about that moment and that movement that is so Dr. Loomis, it's so Donald Pleasance's Dr. Loomis. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. That's something I would like to ask him. He probably doesn't even fucking remember it. It might have just been something in the moment. I mean, he's not a trained actor. So I don't know how that all came to be or what's going on. But I really like that nuance. It feels like something Donald Pleasance would do in the role of Dr. Loomis. We've seen him do that, like when he kind of comes to the balcony, right? Or sorry, not the balcony. The at the beginning of Halloween 2, 1981, when he comes to when he comes down the stairs and he comes to the doorway and he looks out and he sees that imprint of Michael Myers on the front lawn, which I still think to this day is the most hilarious thing of all time. It's like a goddamn Roadrunner cartoon. You did not need an outline of Michael Myers. He could just walk over to the grass, put his hand on the grass, see the blood, and that's what tells you he was there. That's what communicates to the audience that he was there. It's far more effective. It's far better. It's eerier. It's creepier than some sort of Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote sort of thing through a brick wall like outline. It's hilarious to me. It's always been hilarious, but nonetheless, I digress. When Dr. Loomis comes to the doorway there, he sort of steps into the doorway, stumbles a little bit, and leans against the wall, right? So it's that kind of thing where he does kind of that. He does the same thing. Tom Jones, that's his name, right? I hope I'm saying his name. I'm saying Tom Jones. I'm pretty sure it's Tom Jones. That's what he does when we cut to the wide shot of Michael on the lawn. You see Loomis in the background kind of come out the doorway and lean against the door. Intentional? I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, it was terrific. It was terrific. So I mean, I wouldn't quite put Tom Jones, again, very little. It's a small sample size. He's not a trained actor. So if they were to do like a remake of, like, say the whole movie was set in 1978, who knows whether they would have hired Tom Jones to be Loomis. He's good in a small dose, but whether or not he could carry a film is a whole other story. Again, not a trained actor, so who knows? But in the small sample size that we've seen of him, I think Tom Jones belongs in I Knew in My Heart That Hell Would Not Have Him. I really do. I really do. Again, we're just basing it on that small little sample size, just the small sample size. I bought it. I mean, yes, maybe did he kill again? I mean, maybe maybe we could but in terms of the performance, the way he looked, and even the way he sounded, I thought was all right. Tom Jones Jr. Yes, well, okay, Tom Jones Jr., whatever. Thank you, Chester Franklin Jr. The juniors are important to Chester Franklin. Thanks, Chester. So I think I'm going to put him in. I Knew in My Heart That Hell Would Not Have Him. I think again, it's based on the small sample size, not whether or not he could, should, would. I don't know. Based on that small sample size, that's where I'm putting him. Halloween 2, Dr. Loomis from Halloween 2. This is just the performance in Halloween elevated to Halloween 2. And I think his performance is elevated in Halloween 2. I think it's a great performance. We get, again, more of the poetic rhythmic dialogue. Obviously now John Carpenter's got to explain everything, but still keep it mysterious and all that kind of stuff. And I think he did a good job. Loomis, I think, is great in this movie. This is the movie where we hear him say, I shot him 6 times. This man, he's not human. He's not human. I didn't let him out. There's a lot of great lines in this movie. And witches. He says witches. There's some classic stuff in this one. I love at the end, too, when he gets close to Laurie Strode's face. He's like, what did he say? He says, I'm sorry I left you, but he's like right here. She could probably smell the bourbon. But you know what? It's a classic. I'm putting him up here. As a matter of fact, it was. That is where I am putting good old... Get this out of here, damn ads. Don't you fucking hate these ads? God damn it. That's where I'm putting them. In the top, ladies and gentlemen. In the top. As a matter of fact, it was. All right. Oh, Dr. Loomis from Halloween 4. He is great in this movie. He's great in this movie. Absolutely great. Michael King says, Dave, people can't do super chats, dude. People can't do super chats? Why is that? People can do super chats. There's a couple of super chats that came in. So you should be able to do super chats. It's open. Everything's there. Feel free to super chat it up. Support the channel. I mean, Dr. Loomis from Halloween 4 is... what is there to say? Look, Halloween 4, I think, is the last, this is my opinion now, obviously. I think Halloween 4 is the last good sequel. I think Halloween 5 is not good. You know my thoughts on Halloween 5. Halloween 6 is just trying to make up and explain all the shit that was laid out in Halloween 5, so that's not very good. I'm not a big fan of Halloween H2O. I know people, they don't like when I say that because I know that a lot of people love Halloween H2O. I'm not a big fan. I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's the worst sequel. But for me, I don't think Halloween H2O has aged very well. Remember, I was 20 years old when Halloween H2O came out. Well, I was 19 when it came out. I was already a longtime fan. I was already into the first Halloween, the second Halloween for a lot. And I'm not, again, I speak generally here, but in my travels of a lot of big Halloween H2O fans, I've noticed a common theme. And it is either that it was the first Halloween movie they ever saw, or it was the first Halloween movie they ever saw in the movie theater, or both, and it kind of got them into the franchise, depending on where their age falls and when they were born. And that's great. There's a lot of nostalgic attachment to it. For me, I was, like I said, I was nearly 20 when that movie came out, so I already had expectations of things of the way it should be and need to be. And Halloween H2O just feels like Michael Myers walked onto the set of Dawson's Creek to me. And there's reasons for that. There's redeeming qualities in it, for sure. There's moments I absolutely like, but overall as a whole, as a Halloween film, it's never really, I've never been able to warm up to it in the ways that a lot of Halloween fans have. So that's why you'll always find it pretty low on my list. However, it is light years better than Halloween Resurrection, of course. But for me, I think 4 is the last really good Halloween sequel all around. Atmosphere, mood, cinematography, it feels, I mean, it's 1988, so it's got a bit more of that late 80s polish on it. But I like the movie. There's things about it I don't like, Michael Myers mask and the whole thing. But Loomis is great in this movie, and he brings that gravitas. He just carries over that shit that he was doing in Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 and brings it over into Halloween 4. And you know what I mean? Sheriff, I'm six body sheriff, a filling station in flames. I'm telling you, Michael Myers is here in this town. He's here to kill that little girl and anyone who gets in his way. I mean, he's on fire. He's on fire in this movie. You know what I mean? And he looks like he's about to have an aneurysm. And of course, at the end of the movie, when Jamie Lloyd, there she is standing at the top of the stairs, and Dr. Loomis has got, he fucking takes out his gun. He was ready to kill that girl. He was going to shoot that little girl. I'm going to kill that little girl. He was going to kill her. He was going to just empty his fucking gun. 6 shots, 6 bodies. He was going to fucking shoot her. That's how crazy, that's how he's like, I can't go through this again. I cannot go through this again. He was going to do it. He was going to do it. He was going to kill her. He was going to kill her. And of course, another reason why I think it's the last good sequel is because it's got a great ending. It's full circle. And I think if they had never made another Halloween movie ever, and I mean ever, no 5, no 6, no H2O, no Resurrection, Rob Zombie's fine because they're not connected. But if they had never made another Halloween movie ever, it would have been an iconic ending. It's full circle. You end it how you begin it. Clown, a boy, a 6-year-old boy with a butcher knife, a clown, and then you have this little girl in a clown costume with a fucking pair of scissors. I mean, it comes full circle. Evil wins. And imagine if they had never made another Halloween movie, and then you fast forward 30 years, and they do a Halloween Legacy sequel starring Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, because you could do it then. Now it makes no sense. But you could totally do it then and bring it back to fun. You know what I'm saying? But, you can't do it now. Anyway, listen, as far as Loomis goes in this, I mean, I got to put him up here, man. I fucking love Dr. Loomis in this movie. He carries this movie. This is a great Dr. Loomis movie. It's great. It's great. Great stuff. Great stuff. So I got to put him up in, as a matter of fact, it was. As a matter of fact, it was. Absolutely love it. Halloween 5, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, again, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Where would I put Dr. Loomis here? The second last performance from Donald Pleasance. This is the performance where he was, well, I mean, this is no secret. The Halloween 5 set was a bit of a party. Just watch the Halloween 5 behind the scenes. And Dr. Loomis was, how we say, maybe a little inebriated, perhaps inebriated. And so I'm going to say that, he was, I mean, Danielle Harris has famously said that when I think of Donald Pleasance, I think of, he was a very generous and kind man, and he gave me his trailer after he was done and he left, and his breath also reeked of bourbon. I think it was bourbon. And because he was sucking back the bourbon. And his performance in this is a little wacko. It's a little, you know where he is, don't you? I mean, he's just breathing over everybody. He's a little wacko in this movie. He's a little wacko. He's a little wacko. And so, he's a little wacko. But he's got a great line in this movie. And it's too bad that this line is in this movie, because it's a line that should be in one of the, I wish it was a line that was in one of the better Halloween movies, but it is the line that says, in my heart, or I prayed, I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I'm talking about. It's right here. I prayed that hell would take him or something, but I knew in my heart that hell would not have him. That line when he's talking to Meeker, it's number 2 up here. That's a great fucking line. That is one of the best Dr. Loomis lines in any Halloween movie. I don't care what you think of the movie. I mean, you guys know me. I'm not a fan of Halloween 5. But we put the movie aside and we isolate just the line, and it's a fantastic line. It's a line that feels like it should be in one of the first 2 Halloween movies, or certainly in part 4. It's a great line. It's a great line. But Loomis as a whole, you know what? He's fun. He's wacko. He's crazy, but I have a good time watching him. I'm going to put him up in, I knew in my heart. I mean, you got to put him up with the line. I don't think there is a Loomis performance that is in the big woman category. I don't think there is. I really don't think there is. It's a funny line. Of course, that's Halloween 5. I mean, you know what? Maybe I'm being generous. I mean, he is kind of crazy. But I just feel like I have fun watching him in this movie. I'm not talking about the movie now. I'm talking about Loomis. Maybe that's a little generous. Maybe he needs to be down here. Maybe he needs to be a second last. Maybe he needs to be down there. I kind of feel that that's more appropriate. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because we're talking about the Loomis that was established up here, right? I mean, we can't put this Loomis just below the Loomis that was established, the wise psychiatrist, the gravitas, the all-knowing wise wizard, the Obi-Wan Kenobi that is Dr. Loomis. I mean, he's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, he's a Jedi master, in the top 3. I mean, if you think about it, right? He is. I mean, he is the great Dr. Loomis. He is Yoda. He's fucking Yoda. He's Yoda in those movies. You can't put 5 right below Yoda. You know what? On second thought, I just can't do it. But is he a big woman? Is it the big woman category? I don't know if it's quite the big woman category. I mean, maybe. But you know what? I think it is. I think I'm going to put him down. I think I am. I think I'm going to put him down there. I think I am. I mean, there's things that I like, but when you compare the rest of the performances, not isolating the performance, comparing it to the rest of the performances, he's definitely not Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's not even in my heart. I knew he was better. I mean, you can't put him right with 6 because as much as he was sort of wasted in 6 he felt like he was that wise Obi-Wan Kenobi again, right? The Dr. Loomis in part 6, although not nearly as impactful as in part 1, 2, and 4, you kind of still felt like it was back to form a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it's because he was older and maybe he was only having 6 drinks instead of 75 drinks. I don't know, but he kind of felt like he was back to himself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't quite that crazy. So I don't think I can put the crazy Loomis on par with the you know what I'm saying? I think I think I've got to go with this one. I think I've got to go with the big woman. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a big woman because we are, I know some people are like, no, Evil Alex, no, Steve Ross, yes. We got to put, in comparison to the rest of the Loomises, right? That's the benchmark. That's the litmus test. We got to put him down a big woman. And how fitting, right? Cookie woman, a big woman. Smell my bourbon. That's what we're going to do. Now we're on to Malcolm McDowell. Malcolm McDowell. Well, I think for Malcolm McDowell, I'm going to, when we talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007, I think we're going to put Malcolm McDowell. Listen, for a lot of people, I can't put him in as a matter of fact it was. I can't put him in as a matter of fact it was. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Michael King says, I couldn't disagree more. Yes! I love it. That's what it's all about, baby. What fun would it be if we all agreed, right? For me, you know what? I'm going to put him in... thinking of his performance, you know what? I think I'm gonna put him. I think his performance was good. He was a good Dr. Loomis in part one, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. So I'm gonna put him in my heart. I knew that hell would not have him. In my heart, I knew that hell would not have him. So that's where I am going to put him. I think that's acceptable. I think that's acceptable. He's not on the same level as Donald Pleasance in Halloween 1 or Halloween 2 or even Halloween 4, but I think putting him in my heart, I knew in my heart. I think I've got that wrong. I think it's in my heart I knew that hell would not happen, I think is actually the quote. I knew in my heart that hell would not happen, but whatever, fuck it. You know what I'm talking about. I should have looked that up. I think that's where I'm going to put him. Now, Malcolm McDowell, Dr. Loomis, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, 2009. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm sorry, but we got to put him all the way down here. We got to put him in the big woman. It is such a difference between where he was in Rob Zombie's Halloween. It was such a difference. You know, I mean, he's batshit crazy. All he cares about is money and fame and fortune, and he's a fucking dick. He's an absolute dick. I had trouble, even though I'm not a fan of the Rob Zombie movies, I did have trouble believing that he would suddenly behave this way, that he would become this person. And they have their reasons of, you know, why they are justifying it. But I just was not a fan. I was hoping more of this Dr. Loomis. Not that you can't have, I mean, obviously there has to be an arc. He's been through shit. He's learned some things, but I just was not a fan of the portrayal of Dr. Loomis by Malcolm McDowell, who's, I mean, one of the most prestigious actors of all time, a terrific actor. I was not a fan of his portrayal of Dr. Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So I got to put him down here with Halloween 5. Wouldn't you love to see the Dr. Loomis from Halloween 5 and the Dr. Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 hanging out, having some bourbon? Wouldn't you love to see these two hanging out? Can't you imagine these two being friends? Maybe they work for the same hospital. They're both psychiatrists. I mean, wouldn't that, now there's a buddy cop psychiatrist movie that I would love to see. A buddy psychiatrist movie. That'd be fucking amazing. So that's where I got to put him. I got to put him there. So yeah, folks, there you go. At the top, the very top of the list, we've got Dr. Loomis from Halloween 1, Dr. Loomis from Halloween 2, Dr. Loomis from Halloween 4. In second place, we've got Tom Jones Jr. from Halloween Kills. Again, a very small sample size, not a lot to go on, but based on what we did see, impressive, right? Impressive. And then, of course, beside him is Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. And then sitting in third place, we got, again, not awful, but not quite, I don't think it's quite second place worthy, not quite last place worthy. But it is, of course, Donald Pleasance's last outing as Dr. Loomis, and that, of course, is in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995. Of course, he passed away before the movie was even released. He passed away in February of 95, I believe. The movie was released in late September, I think, of 95, somewhere around there. And yeah, he's in... And then, of course, in last place, we've got Dr. Loomis from Halloween 5 and Dr. Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. A big woman. There's probably some people watching this going, what the hell does that even mean? If you know your Halloween 5, you know. If you know, you know. So that is my tier ranking of the Dr. Loomis's. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on the Dr. Loomis's. Which is your favorite? Do you agree with my ranking? Do you not agree with my ranking? It's amazing that I can turn this into a 36-minute discussion. Oh, I can turn anything into a 36-minute discussion. That's because I like to dive into the nitty-gritty, the nuances, the details, and give you reasons why I choose what I choose. And that makes it, at least for me, far more interesting to the listener, because in reality, I could just, make this a 3-minute video and then we wouldn't have engagement and it wouldn't be fun. So anyway, yeah, let's jump over to the other screen now, back to the main screen. Jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and what you think and how you would rank them. All right, now let's jump over to the chat room and see what all of you are saying. I know some super chats did come in, so let me check this out. The very first super chat to come in is from Eddie Chase. What's going on, Eddie? Sends in $5. Thanks, buddy. And Eddie says, OG. All right. We got his ranking here. OG, H81, H4, H5, Rob Zombie, H1, H6, Rob Zombie, H2, redeems himself by going to barn and kills. Too little of him and voice wasn't right, but it was a treat to see him. Yeah, well, look, I think the voice was fine. I think under the circumstances, the voice was fine. Could it have been better? Sure. But I think under the circumstances, I think it was fine. It didn't take me out of it. Let's just put it that way. Thank you, Eddie. Good ranking, my man. Good ranking, Eddie. It was like Reddy and Eddie. And anyway, Josh McKenna sends in a generous super chat of $19.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, have you heard about the drama with the movie It Ends With Us? Apparently the two leads hated each other. I checked it out just to see the chemistry. It's normally not my type of movie, but all the drama got my interest. I've heard a little bit about this, Josh, sort of on the peripheral. I haven't really dove into it, to be honest with you. I haven't really dove into it, so it's just kind of on the peripheral for me. But I kind of know a vague idea of what's going on, but I'll have to check it out. Roberto Torres sends in $1.99. Thank you, Roberto. It says, but Dave, time to rank each Laurie. All love. Well, each Laurie. We'll rank each Laurie. Hey, you never know. Hey, listen. It could be worse. This is good shit. I don't mind if people rank the Loomises or the Lauries or whatever. That's fun. That's fun. When we start ranking boots and fingernails and nose hairs, that's when it gets a little ridiculous, right? Or grunts, top 600 Michael Myers grunts. Then it's like ranking the different versions of the character or the different characters in each movie. I think that's cool. I think that's fine. That's totally fine. It's okay because it's a main character. It's Dr. Loomis. It's not like I'm ranking, background performers. Jesus. Okay, we're going to rank all the background performers now in every Halloween movie. Okay, all right. Now I've jumped the shark. I don't think ranking the Loomises is jumping the shark, but that's my opinion. Because it's Dr. fucking Loomis. He's one of the main guys. Happy Sanjo becomes a member again, I guess. McRae viewer level number 1. Amazing. Thank you, Happy. Welcome back. James McMillan sends in a member chat and says, what's up? How are you doing today, Dave? I'm doing well. How are you? I'm so excited for It's Me, Billy, too. Your Halloween fan films is what got me into join and subscribe to your channel. Keep up the amazing work. One of the best. Well, thank you, James. I really appreciate that. And thank you for being a longtime viewer and subscriber. Sandra Crystal 1 sends in $1.99 and sends in a little director chair that says on set. Love it. Thank you, Sandra Crystal. I really appreciate that. Jamie Hart sends in $2. Super chat is working for me. Amazing. Thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Magic Marker sends in a member chat and says, can't stay long, but Dave, thank you for all the great content. Cannot wait for It's Me, Billy 2. Been sharing it lots. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. The more shares, the better. Hope you have the most amazing September and October you've ever had. You demand. Well, thank you, Magic Marker. I really appreciate that. Sincerely, thank you. Hardy1298 sends in $4.99 and says, what is your thought on Judith surviving the attack and being the final girl, ignoring all things Laurie? I think actually that might be kind of interesting. I would be open to hearing more about that in a reimagining of the Halloween story. Because look, I'm Halloween's my favorite horror movie of all time. It's my favorite horror franchise of all time. I will be there day one with whatever they fucking do. However, I have preferences, right? And I don't need to see the same story told over again, just again. Like, I don't need to see, I don't want another remake of Halloween yet, where it's just little 6-year-old Michael kills his 16-year-old sister, then he puts away 50 years. I don't need to see that. We've already done that already. I mean, it's getting to the point, like, I feel the same way about these DC fans that feel about showing Batman's backstory. You don't need to do that. We don't need to see it again. Like, we've already seen it. So I'm of the mindset that you either just jump right into the middle of it all, or you reimagine the mythology. Not completely, but just a little bit from a different perspective. Like what you're talking about, right? Maybe it's Judith Myers survives, right? And then you fast forward years later and she's a 30-something married with kids, and then Michael comes back. I don't know. Something that's a bit different. I'm open to that. Because to me, it just doesn't... If I find out through an article on Bloody Disgusting that they're just going to do the same goddamn thing over again, I tell you, it's not going to interest me. I'll be there day one. I'm a fan. I want to see what they do, and maybe it'll be amazing. But at face value on paper, it doesn't excite me. That's what I'm saying. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Sandra Crystal 1 sends in 99 cents. Thank you very much, with an upside down face. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sandra Crystal. Really appreciate it. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99 and says, since being in demand, about how much money did the Billy campaign make? Well, total is about, it says on the campaign, we raised, before the campaign ended and went into demand, we raised about 144,000 Canadian. It's now up at about 156,000 Canadian, so about an extra $12,000 since it's been in demand, which is great. And then between the two movies, between It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 and 2, it's about $220,000. So, because the first movie was 64,000 Canadian. This one was about 140,000 in terms of the production budget. Remember, that extra 12,000 is going towards perks because we'd already shot the movie. And so I would say that, yeah, it's closing in on 220,000. So, which is about right. Which is about right when I think about all the logistics and everything in place. So yeah, October 11th, folks, Friday, October 11th, It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 drops online for free. I know the Terrifier 3 trailer dropped today and everybody's getting crazy for Terrifier, and I know it's going to be all Terrifier that weekend. But don't forget to go see Terrifier and then come home and watch our movie, because our movie will be free online. So there's no excuses. There's no excuses. Logan Reynolds sends in $4.99. Thanks, buddy. And says, the grass imprint in H2 always reminds me of George of the Jungle when he smashes into a tree. Halloween 4 Loomis is far more developed and superior. Great show. Thanks very much, Logan. I really appreciate that. I agree. Look, I adore Halloween 2. It's my favorite sequel in the entire franchise. I still think to this day it is the best sequel in the franchise. I do. But that moment where you see the imprint, it just looks comical to me. There would not be that kind of an imprint with the amount of time that Michael was lying on the grass. And let's not forget that in Halloween 1, there was no grass. It was just dirt and like tufts of grass. So there was no grass. But that aside, he was only lying there for like 30 seconds. I mean, it wouldn't have left anything. And I think it's better cinematically, in terms of cinematic language. If we want to talk about, the use of cinematic language, I think it's far better if there's no imprint. He just comes to the bottom of the stairs, looks out, and just sees an empty lawn. And he's like, what the fuck? And if you didn't know that there was somebody that was lying there, you would not know that there was somebody that was there. And the only thing that gives it away is when he kneels down, pats the grass, looks at his hand, and there's blood, right? Because really, if you think about it, why is he going over there anyway to pat the grass? He can see the imprint, so he knows. So his motivation to go over and pat the grass almost seems pointless when he already knows that there was somebody there, because the imprint is telling him there was somebody there. So that's why, from a filmmaking and writing perspective, I always think that it doesn't make any sense to me. I think that just choose one or the other, right? And I think it's more mature, and it's far eerier if he comes to the bottom of the stairs, he looks out, we see his POV, we just see an empty lawn, and we're like, what the fuck? He's like, okay. And he walks over to it, and he looks down, he kneels down, he pats the grass, and then he looks at his hand and there's blood. Oh, I wasn't imagining it. Holy fuck, he was lying here. That is how it should have been done. That's eerie. That's creepy. Seeing this cartoon fucking cardboard cutout like Wile E. Coyotes just ran through a brick wall, or George of the Jungle, like you said, it's too prominent. I don't care if there's maybe some grass that's kind of flattened down a little bit, but this is like a chalk outline on a fucking crime scene. It's like, it always makes me chuckle. Doesn't take me out of the movie, doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it's kind of always made me chuckle a little bit because it's so prominent. It's so perfect. You know what I mean? Anyway, it is what it is. Hey, it was the early 80s. Flat's Movie and Pop Culture 13 sends in a member chat. Thank you, Flat. Says, awesome tier ranking, Dave, and cheers to 6 months as a member. Well, thank you, Flat. Thank you for being a member for 6 months. I really appreciate that. Pedro Lucario, am I saying that right? Sends in $2 and says, I was shocked and glad seeing his portrayal in Kills. Yeah, it was cool. Excuse me, it was cool. It was cool to see, right? It was cool to see, for sure. I agree. Steve Ross sends in a member chat, and a member for 12 months, and says, I agree with your ranking and can't believe I have been a level 2 member for 12 months. You've been a level 2 member for 12 months. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you. And a reminder to my level number 2 members, hang on a sec here. This Saturday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is our next episode of Horror Movie Nights. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was released the same day the original Black Christmas was released on Friday, October 11th, 1974. We are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre by watching it for our next episode of Horror Movie Night. So if you want to get in on that and watch along with us, hit that join button and join level number 2. Join level number 2. Thirsty. I'm thirsty. Brandon Collins says, Dave, since you have a great track record crowdfunding for the IMDb films, do you think you'll do it again for an actual feature you can find distribution for? Great question. So Bruce and I have talked a lot about this. As you know, It's Me, Billy will be the last quote unquote fan film that we do. Even though it's, hardly a fan film, but it has to have that label, of course, because we don't own the IP. And it is it is because we don't own the IP. So Bruce and I will be doing no more fan films. We are turning our sights to original work or original, I guess I could say that, original work, original ideas, not based on anything else. Because It's Me, Billy, Chapter 1 and 2 are, they're professional productions. There's a lot of work that goes into that and a lot of time that goes into that. When you're dealing with the unions and the guilds and, you're raising all this money and, professional actors. And I mean, we are doing it absolutely 100% professionally, right? So there's a lot of time and effort and work that goes into that. So we said, we can't do this again and not get paid. We can't do this again and not be paid. It's too much work for free, and we did it for these 2 movies because it was a labor of love and we're doing something really special for Black Christmas and we're Canadian and it's Canadian and it's the 50th anniversary and we didn't complain one bit. But after it was all done, we were like, wow, that's a lot of work. And if we're going to do this again, we need to now be paid to do this, this work. Because we were the only 2 that was on the film that was not paid because we could not make money as producers because we don't own the IP. We can raise money to make the movie, but we can't make money from the movie. So that's why It's Me, Billy, Chapter 1 and 2, they have to be released online for free, right? I know I've said all this before, but I'm just doing, the setup. But to your point, we have had success crowdfunding twice now. And we would be absolutely open to crowdfunding again. However, crowdfunding is a lot of work too. And, there's a lot that goes into that. And there's a lot of, you got to create all the perks and you got to spend a lot of time. And it's a job in and of itself. So we are not adverse to it. The productions that we want to now move into, like, for example, the movie that is like my baby that I've wanted to do for so many years, Port Robinson Road. I mean, I haven't done a budget breakdown, but just thinking about the script, I mean, it's probably, a movie that is likely to cost between, $2 and $5 million at the low end. And so crowdfunding that is unlikely unless I'm Chris Stuckman and have 2 million followers and I can make $1 million in my sleep or raise $1 million in my sleep because I have such a reach. With my reach, because it's so minimal, it's unlikely that I would be able to crowdfund that entire thing. And that's a lot of perks. So it is more likely that what we will do is we will, start to move towards, investors, production companies, grants, filmmaking grant. Like there are programs that can help filmmakers, even if you can't it may be a thing where we get the money from several different places. So maybe we crowdfund $250,000, you know what I mean? And then we are able to get, a filmmaking grant that is worth another $250,000. So there's $500,000, right? And then maybe there's an independent production company that wants to come on board and they're willing to put up, $150,000. And then it's possible that might be how we go about some of the productions that we want to do, depending on how much it's going to cost, right? I mean, I'm just thinking about Port Robinson Road and off the top of my head what that would likely be, but it's entirely possible that we could have other smaller projects that maybe we just need to crowdfund $50,000 and we do it that way. It all depends, right? All depends. So I'm not against it. It is a lot of work, building the campaign, being out there. You saw all the live shows I did. I did 25 live shows over 60 hours, just to crowdfund the production budget for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. So it's a job in and of itself. And it would be really nice to not have to do that, to be able to have the money just there for you. Would be wonderful, because then we can turn all our energy onto just, doing what we need to do from the development and the creative side of things. So not against it, but I certainly don't want to rely on it forever, because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But I'm not against it. It all depends. I mean, if people are excited for our ideas and there's a buzz and who knows, right? I mean, I don't know, but you look at the Terrifier, right? So Terrifier 2 was crowdfunded, right? I think they raised don't quote me on this, but I think the Terrifier guys raised about $250,000 US through crowdfunding for Terrifier 2, if I'm not mistaken. It was somewhere around there, I believe. But then they didn't crowdfund for Terrifier 3 because they didn't need to, right? And so because there were people chomping at the bit ready to fork over, I don't know how, I think Terrifier 3 was at least $1 million, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a bit more. And that's the dream, right? Not having to do that, because it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. So we'll see. But, the shorter answer is, I'm not against it. The longer answer I just gave you. So we'll see. But great question. Thanks, Brandon. I really appreciate it. All right. Have I got all the super chats? I think I have. I don't think I saw any else or any more come in, I don't believe. I don't think so anyway. Let me see here. Let me scroll down and see what's going on. Evil Alex says 2 to 5 million is peanuts for big studios, but funding, it's huge, and I doubt it. So I hope a bigger studio would pick you and Bruce up. Yeah, well, that's just it, right? I mean, Chris Stuckman for his Shelby Oaks crowdfunded at least $1.5 million, or maybe it was $2 million. But that's because he has such a gigantic reach. I don't have that kind of reach. I have a reach. I mean, I'm one of the most well-known, channels in the space. But I don't have the gigantic reach like that. So to crowdfund $5 million is incredibly unlikely for me. So yeah, it's, I would much prefer not having to do that. I would much prefer, it come from a production company, a studio, something like that. But with that, when you're not the money man, right? When you're not in charge of the money, now you have to learn, it's a whole different ball game then, right? It's a whole different ball game. Like right now, because we have crowdfunded the film, we are the studio. And because we are not seeking distribution, because we legally can't, so it has to be released for free online, we are in charge of the marketing. I cut the trailer, we're in charge of everything. We are the studio. But that's not always how it's going to be moving forward, right? Especially when you're not in charge of the money and you're not putting up the money. So then it really becomes about nurturing those relationships, fostering those, relationships and making sure from the very beginning that you're all on the same page and that you nurture and develop a certain level of trust and confidence in the people that are putting up the money, so that you have, again, you may have to compromise and that's okay. But hopefully you can get the relationships to a point where you don't feel stifled as a creator, as a director, as a writer, from the people that are putting up the money. And sometimes people just put up the money because they fully believe in you and they're like, listen, we love what you're doing. Just do more of that. Here's $3 million. I mean, sometimes that can happen too. But sometimes that doesn't happen. So it's tricky, but we are ready. I mean, we are ready now to move to the next phase of our filmmaking careers, which would be to make a movie, whether it's together or solo, because Bruce and I love working together and love directing together, but we also have our own ideas as well. And so Bruce may go on and direct something on his own that I come on as a producer, and same with, me, right? Like Port Robinson Road is a movie that I will direct myself and Bruce would likely come on as a producer. So we do have our own projects that we want to direct ourselves as well. But there are a few projects that we also would love to direct together. So who knows what's going to be first and what's going to come down the pipe and what's going to happen. But I do know that we are excited and we are ready to move in that direction now. Bobby Hall, what's going on, Bobby Hall? Says, Dave, do you think Halloween 4 would have been stronger if Loomis had taken part in the climax or at least witnessed Myers being shot to death? He just takes their word for it that he's dead. I guess it all depends on what he's doing, right? And how he's utilized in the climax. I mean, if he was just standing there watching it happen, look, I guess having his presence, I guess having his presence there is always good. Having him on screen, again, there's a gravitas, there's a presence to Dr. Loomis, right? So having him there is always a plus for sure. 100%. But whether or not, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's always a plus. But I've never, I've never really thought about it, Bobby, to be honest with you. Where was he anyway? Where was Dr. Loomis when all that was happening? I guess he was just kind of coming back from the school or something. I can't remember. Flick Symmetry says, keep the faith, Dave. Your work will open doors. After all, Spielberg started somewhere. Hey, oh, wow. It's true. Oh, it's true. It's true. Like It's Me, Billy, chapter 1. We had some eyeballs on that, and that opened a door, which was really cool. We had a chance to speak to somebody who, was in a very prominent position with a studio that you would know. And that was because of the quality of the first chapter. Now, whether that'll happen again with chapter 2, who knows? We put it out there and we let the chips fall where they may. But we are very proud of the work that we're doing, and we're very proud of what we've done with both these films. That doesn't mean everybody's going to like it, right? It's art, it's movies. Some of you may watch and be like, this is crap. Okay. That's just the nature of the business. That's the nature of the game. You can't please everybody. So, for you out there, if for you trolls out there, if you're going to just say, this is shit, if you think that's going to get under my skin, it doesn't. It's just like, well, okay. First of all, it doesn't matter what I do. I could make the Shawshank Redemption, and people that don't like me will just hate on it because they don't like me. It doesn't matter what I do. But at the end of the day, I have no control over it. So we worked hard. We're the ones that are making the movie. We're the ones that are doing the best we can. And I am very proud of our team. I'm proud of the product. We have delivered a professional product through and through from top to bottom. And I'm very proud of that. We've worked our asses off to do it. And whether people like what we do in the movie and the direction and all that, I have no control over that. I hope you do. The only thing I will say is keep in mind that this isn't Terrifier. It's not a blood, guts, and gore. We haven't stepped up the ante in that sense in terms of now you're going to get blood and gore and all that all over the place. There's a little bit of blood. There's a little bit of blood, a little bit of something. But it's not like we've suddenly ratcheted it up to now it's a Terrifier movie. It still has to feel like it's canonically connected to the first movie. It was our creative intention to make both Billy 1 and 2 more of that psychological theater of the mind, not only because that's the kind of horror movies that I like, but so it feels connected to that original film. It in style, in tone, in execution. Sure, our films have a more modern production value, but it still feels tonally, canonically, like it fits within that world. And that was one of the big compliments we got on chapter 1, was that it feels very much like it's connected. And that's deliberate. That's on purpose. That's on purpose. So yes, is chapter 2 darker? It absolutely is. Is it more intense? It absolutely is. Is there a little bit of blood, a little something? There absolutely is. But it's not like, fucking like in Terrifier, we're going to chainsaw some people up in the shower. I mean, it would feel like it's a completely different movie. So if you're looking for that, you're not going to get it in our movie, but that's on purpose. It's not a budgetary thing. It's not like, well, we didn't have the budget. No, we had the budget. We just chose not to do that and allocate the money somewhere else. It's a deliberate, creative, intentional choice on purpose, right? It's so it feels like it's connected to the whole original Black Christmas world. And I'm very proud of the work we've done. And I think we've done a really good job at doing that. So hopefully that won't be the litmus test for people that will inevitably review it. But it might feel very tame in comparison to Terrifier 3, which is opening the same weekend. It may feel very, very, very tame in comparison to that, but they're two different types of horror movies, right? So, yeah. Hey, Wolfman's got nards. What's going on, Wolfman? Barry, my man, Barry, Wolfman's guy. He's got a bowl full of nards, folks. That sounded weird. Sends in a member chat, been a member for 3 months. Thank you, Barry. I really appreciate that. Says, there's no doubt with the quality of It's Me, Billy movies that you're going places, Dave. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. That means a lot, Barry. That means a lot. And hey, listen, we worked our asses off. I mean, that was part of the intention, right? Was to do something special for Black Christmas, because it's a Canadian movie, one of the most important, whether you like it or not, whatever the case is, it is one of the most influential, important horror movies in the genre. And it's Canadian, shot here in Toronto with a large Canadian cast. Not everybody was Canadian. Keir Dullea, Olivia Hussey, obviously not. John Saxon, obviously not. But Margot Kidder, Lynn Griffin, Art Hindle, Andrea Martin, a lot of Canadians in that movie. And it's a Canadian film, and we're very proud of it here in Canada. And so to do something special for that movie was absolutely part of the intention, 50th anniversary. But yeah, it was also to showcase what we could do as filmmakers and to showcase the quality that we could put forward from a vision standpoint, a directing standpoint, an execution standpoint, and hopefully, it can certainly bode well for us in our portfolios, and we're very proud of it. We're very, very proud of what we've been able to do. It's not easy, like I've said. Making movies is not easy, and you just do the best you can, and you let the chips fall where they may. Thanks, Barry. Really appreciate that. Let me see. Have I got... Okay, I saw the member chat from Barry. Let me just go back over here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. No, nothing's gone up there. Nothing's gone up there. I don't think I've missed any super chats. Okay, because I've missed some in the past, and I definitely don't want to miss any today. Didn't want to miss any today. Okay, we're good for time. We're good for time. We're good for time, man. We're good for time. Rob Thidoff, what's going on? Rob says, I just came back from Martha's Vineyard to see the Jaws sites. Amazing. I even had my own personal private tour from Jeffrey Voorhees, who played Alex Kintner. Very cool. It was an epic vacation. That's awesome, Rob. Thanks for sharing that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Evil Alex has a bowl full of farts, apparently. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave and Bruce worked their butts off. I salute them both. Thank you, Chester. I appreciate that. We certainly did. Yeah, shout out to my brother from another mother, Bruce, who, I mean, oh my God, did he worked his ass off. I mean, we both did. But Bruce worked really hard. I mean, you know, when you're an indie filmmaker, right? And, you know, you're handling a lot of projects. I mean, obviously we hired people, but we were also doing a lot. You know, we were like a Swiss Army knife. We were doing a lot of things. We were co-directors, co-producers, co-writers, but you know, Bruce was essentially the production manager. I was the props master. You know, we were both the script supervisors. We handled a lot of roles, and there's a lot to do. And when you're working at this level, it's the real deal, folks. You know, it's the real deal. And it's, you're on a deadline, you're working with real money, you know, and yes, although it's low budget in the world of Hollywood movies, it's still $150,000 and that's nothing to sneeze at. So, you know, there's a lot at stake. So it was a lot of hard work, no doubt about it. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, are you interested in watching the Marvel movie with Harrison Ford when it comes out? No, not really. I'll be honest. No. I mean, listen, Harrison Ford is my favorite actor of all time, of course. I love Harrison Ford. I've loved him since I was like 5 years old. He's my favorite actor. I've seen almost all his movies. I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 movies I haven't seen. I think it's cool that he's still acting. I think it's great that he's in this movie. But I just don't have any interest. I'm sure I'll be able to catch clips of him on YouTube when the movie comes out. I'm sure wait a couple of months, maybe not even, there will be an abundance of clips of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, and I'll just be able to watch that. And it's not even him anyway, it's CGI, but I'll be able to watch him like in the role before he turns into the Red Hulk. I'm sure there'll be tons of clips of him. So yeah, I don't need to see the whole movie in order to see him. So yeah. Alex Schambach says, Dave, why do you think it took them all the way until H18 to release another Halloween movie in October? Well, I think the short answer is I don't know. The long answer would be that, you know, I mean, Halloween H2O released in July, I think, or August. No, I think it was August. And it did very well at the box office. And so, you know, I think Halloween Resurrection was also released in the summer. Rob Zombie's movies were released in the summer, and they did very well at the box office. So, you know, when something ain't broke, they try not to fix it. And ironically, the studios or Malik or whoever maybe thought, you know what, maybe we should stick to a summer release schedule because we seem to do quite well. However, that's not what Blumhouse did. That's not what Universal did. And so I think it bode well for them to release it in October. It just makes sense. It's a Halloween movie. You release it in October. And Halloween 18 was the first Halloween movie to release in the month of October since 1989, nearly 30 years. Halloween 6 was not released in October. H2O was not. Resurrection was not. Both Rob Zombie movies were not. So it had been a while. It had been since 1989 was the last time that a Halloween movie was released in the month of October. So, yeah. And of course, Halloween 18 went on to become the highest grossing slasher movie in motion picture history. Still to this day, it is the highest grossing slasher horror movie in motion picture history. Over $250 million at the worldwide box office. Now, That dropped significantly with Halloween Kills, and then a little bit more again with Halloween Ends. But hey, all three movies made, about $500 million at the worldwide box office. So it definitely was a success. It definitely was a success. Let's see here. Let me go back. Let me see what's going on. Let me see. Trying to get some people that I have not got before. Oh, wait. Was that a super chat that came in? It was. Ethan LeBlanc sends in $4.99 and says, Dave, get the rack out of the cough and get your butt to Alien Romulus. We need your thoughts. Stay sharp. I know. I still haven't seen Alien Romulus yet. I have to see Alien Romulus. I still haven't seen it yet. God damn it. The rack out of the cough. For those of you that don't know what Ethan's talking about, I think that was from my first hate mail video, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was my first hate mail vid. And that was it was funny. All real stuff, folks. All real stuff. I've received a lot of DMs and messages over the years from people that it makes absolutely no sense. And rack out of the cough was one of them. But yeah, Alien Romulus. I gotta see that. I've heard good things. But I've also heard it's kind of like a greatest hits sort of thing. I don't know, and I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I was going to talk to Blueprint, but I think he's just talking amongst you guys. That's always good. Welcome, Blueprint GB. Nice to see you here, Blueprint. Let me scroll back and see if there's somebody that I haven't got yet. We got Jamie Hart. Rosalia is here. Andrew Stevens, one of our great mods. What's going on, Andrew? Great to see you here. Davey Deathray is here. Michael Edwards. Brooks Scarlett. Great to see Brooks Scarlett. Fliximetry. Chester Franklin Jr. Yes. Brandon Collins. Yeah, the usual suspects. Zodiac is here. Gory Tiger. Bobby Hall. What else we got? Eddie Henderson. Eddie Henderson says, I would move Loomis from Kills down because it's a small part, and I would move Halloween 5 Loomis up a spot. You make your own ranking, man, and you can do it, my man. You can do it. A.B. James says, ranking all the kills across the 13 films would take forever. Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. I would have to be really hard up for content, and maybe it'll happen one day. Hey, you never say never, A.B. James. You never say never, but it is unlikely to happen. Unlikely. Raf A says, hi, Dave. Checking in from it's not Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Am I saying that right? Puerto Rico. I know people say Puerto Rico, but I don't think that's correct. I think it's Puerto Rico. If I'm not, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but hey, amazing. It's great to know that I have viewers down there. All right, let me scroll back down here. I want to scroll back down and get caught up with the chat. Davey Deathray says, legacy sequels, they either blow you away and bring you back, or they are just somewhere in the middle, which ultimately makes them a letdown. Well, you know what's hard about it is legacy sequels are tough because a legacy sequel, by definition, is really created and built around nostalgia. And, they're really, and they have a very, generally speaking, they have a short shelf life, and because the purpose of a legacy sequel really should just be a one and done. And I know what people are thinking, but Dave, you did It's Me Billy Chapter 2. That's true, but It's Me Billy Chapter 2 is really, as I've said many times, it's just the last half of our movie, really. I mean, we've divided it up because we were unable to raise all the money we needed to make it all at once. And so it's being presented to you like 2 episodes. However, if you were to just watch It's Me Billy Chapter 2 on its own and you had never seen Black Christmas or It's Me Billy Chapter 1, you wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. You'd be lost. You'd be like, this makes no sense. So that's why I encourage fans to, this October 11th and this Christmas, watch Black Christmas, then watch It's Me Billy, then watch It's Me Billy Chapter 2. So technically it is kind of one, because what we want to do is we want to, after the movie comes out on October 11th, at some point we want to butt the two films together and release it as a feature to festivals. And then eventually we may upload that online as well as like the ultimate, the Billy cut or the Christmas cut, It's Me, Billy, the Christmas, whatever. And you have both movies that are together, but we have to put the two movies together, watch it, and see if it works as a feature. Is there some adjustments we need to make in terms of pacing? Maybe that scene needs to be rearranged a little bit. Maybe now that scene needs to come later, or that scene needs to come earlier, because now we're presenting it and designing it as a feature as opposed to 2 episodes. But it is something that we're thinking about doing. So technically it should not, but that's why there's not going to be an It's Me, Billy 3. I've had people ask me, is there going to be an It's Me, Billy 3? Even one of our and shout out to Nazari, who goes by Nas for short, not the musician Nas, but when I was on the set of Creepy Bits, he was their key grip, and he was our key grip on chapter 1. And he said, is there going to be a Billy 3? And I'm like, no, Billy 3, no Billy 3. First of all, again, we don't want to live in the world of fan films. We want to move on, and if we're going to make professional films, we got to now start moving away from the fan film genre, so to speak, the subgenre, I guess, so we can actually make a career of it. And there's no more to tell. I mean, there's nothing left to tell. It's over. I mean, could we have written something where we keep going and going and going? Sure, but to Davey Deathray's point, it's like now it's kind of, I mean, you know what I mean? So I think you're right. I think legacy sequels, generally speaking, are probably generally speaking, a kind of one and done thing. Maybe you can get a sequel out of it. But I just think by the sheer sort of foundation and intention of their creation, I don't think there's a lot of longevity there. In terms of, and remember, we're not talking about a remake. We're talking about a legacy sequel that is connected to the original films from 40, 50 years ago. If you want to remake Halloween or remake Elm Street, that's different, because then you can reimagine it and build it from a new foundation and build it moving forward. That may have longevity, and you can get maybe 4, 5, 6 movies out of that. But getting 4 or 5 or even 3 legacy sequels, it's tough. I mean, look what happened with Halloween, right? So it's pretty tough, 1, maybe 2, and I think that's your legacy sequel cutoff as far as I'm concerned. Daisy McMillan. Hello, Dave and everyone. Hello, Daisy. Great to see you here. Let me see here. Scroll back. Okay, have I got all the Soipa chats? I just want to make sure I've got all the Soipa chats. I think so. I think I have. Hang on. I'm missing. Where's the tab? There you guys are. All right, we've got about another 10 minutes. 10 minutes left in the show. 10 minutes left in the show, folks. Evil Alex says Kills should have Kills should have taken out the hospital and Laurie walk over the Myers house and fight Michael to the death, and didn't need ends. I agree. Well, it's like my sequel concept. For those of you that may not know, I have it's over 2 hours long. It's not a fan film. It's a conceptual walkthrough with music, and it's me. And I released it in the summer of 2019. I think I released it after they had announced they were going to do 2 more movies called Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. But I had made it and recorded it over several weeks before that announcement. And it's my sequel concept idea video to Halloween 18. If I was hired to do a sequel to Halloween 2018, this is what I would do. So if you haven't watched that video and you're curious, just YouTube Dave McRae Halloween sequel concept or something like that, and it'll pop up. and just grab some popcorn, grab some munchies and some soda or some alcohol, whatever you need, and just sit back and listen and watch. And it's what I would do. Now, you're not going to necessarily agree with everything in my sequel concept. And remember, the point of it is it's a sequel to Halloween 18 and it's a one and done. It's no cliffhanger. No, it's a one and done. That's it. We are done. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say how much they like what I talked about in that video. They didn't necessarily agree with every creative decision that I had talked about, but they really loved the direction and the principle of where I took the ending. Some people weren't crazy on the Judith lookalike type thing, which you can, but again, I don't mean like literally, it's hard to explain without showing you. It's more about the cinematic language of what that would mean and the symbolism of what it means. And a lot of people got it. There were some people that didn't. Some people thought I meant that it's like literally a girl that looks identical to, anyway, it's a whole thing. That's not what I meant. It was a similarity of a vibe. It was more about the symbol of it, but there's a lot of people that really liked and sort of the direction that I took with it. And anyways, it's there. I think it's got, how many views does that have? It's got quite a few views. Let me just see here. I'm actually curious how many views that has. 70,000 views, maybe? I'm not sure. Dave McRae, Halloween, sequel concept. That should bring it up. Yep, it does. It's got 72,000 views. Yep, and I uploaded it 5 years ago. Over 5 years ago, because it was, actually, it might have been this month, 5 years ago. Yep. And it's 2 hours and 21 minutes long. So there you go. There you go. And I also have a follow-up live show where I talk about why I made the creative decisions I did, or why I made the creative decisions I did, not decisions. So yeah, that's cool stuff. If you ever want to check that out, check it out. Alley Girl says, you should do a watch party for both It's Me Billy 1 and 2 on your channel, Dave, with commentary. Totally, absolutely. And for those of you that picked up the Blu-rays, there will be director's commentary on the Blu-rays. There is a director's commentary on the Blu-ray for Chapter 1. So for those of you that already have It's Me Billy on Blu-ray, there is a director's commentary on there. Bruce and I will be doing a director's commentary for Chapter 2 as well. Bruce, as we speak at the moment, is already editing down the BTS featurette for it. He's in the middle of tackling all that. So there'll be another featurette on there as well. There's a BTS featurette for Chapter 1 on the Blu-ray as well. We are going to release the BTS featurette for Chapter 1 on my YouTube channel very soon. We haven't done it yet because obviously we wanted it exclusive to the Blu-ray so people could get that first and you could experience it there first. But it's been a few years now, so we are planning on releasing the BTS featurette of Chapter 1 online at some point soon too. Yeah, no, I'll definitely do it. Like this Halloween, this Christmas, there's going to be a lot of Black Christmas Billy stuff on the channel this Christmas, obviously. And I know that not all my viewers give a shit about that, but hey, you don't have to watch it, right? You don't have to watch it. But hopefully you'll tune in anyway and just hang out. But there'll be some things like that. And of course, I want to get Victoria on the channel. I want to get Lynn on the channel, Lisa Kovac on the channel. I want to get some of the cast on the channel to talk about Chapter 2 as we're preparing and we're gearing up for the big release and all that kind of stuff. And there will be an announcement soon in regards to the advanced screening. So if you want to get in on seeing It's Me Billy Chapter 2 before anybody else, the perk is still available. Just hit the Indiegogo link and you get lots with it. It's a good perk. And you'll get to see It's Me Billy Chapter 2 probably about 5 or 6 days before anybody else. So, and that is at the advanced screening world premiere, quote unquote, so to speak. And there'll be an email going out about that too very soon. So lots going on, lots going on. Davey Deathray says, Dave, as an associate producer, can I lay down my own commentary track? Yeah, you're more than welcome to. If you want to do it on your channel after the movie comes out and you want to do it, yeah, knock yourself out, man. Absolutely. That'd be cool to see you in one corner in the movie and you're talking about it. Totally. That'd be cool. Some people have done that. Some people I can't talk today. Some people have done that. Some people have done that. Roberto Torres sends in $1.99, says, what if you ranked each Michael kill? Well, I think somebody had just talked about that actually earlier in the chat. That's a lot of kills, man. From every movie, that's 12 Halloween movies. There's 13 Halloween movies, but of course we don't include Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. You never say never. You never say never. Maybe it's something I'll do. I don't want to make any promises, but you never know. You never know. You never know. Wolfman Scott Nard says, I'll provide a Scottish commentary for It's Me. Amazing. That'd be awesome. The Scottish cut. You just overdub everybody's voices. It's me, Billy, the Scottish cut. That'd be awesome. That'd be hilarious. Robert Kitzmiller says, what I love about Black Christmas and Halloween is when watching those movies, they're so realistic and you could totally believe that something like that would take place. It could totally happen. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's definitely a, listen, not everybody likes the original Black Christmas. Some people feel it's dated, it's slow, it's boring. I can understand that. I can see that, but I just love it. I think it's just got a terrific, nostalgic, old school, cozy, eerie quality to it. And it's just so fucking eerie. Still to this day, I think that movie is just so eerie. Just so eerie. So great. All right. Do I have all the super chats? I believe I do. I just want to make sure. The last one that came in was Roberto Torres. Ethan LeBlanc, Dave, Rack out of the cough. Yes. Okay. I have got all of the super chats. Amazing. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me on this episode of McRae Live. I want to thank, of course, my great moderators. You know who you are. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the members, my channel members, level number 1 and 2. Again, a reminder, level number 2 members this Saturday night, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre by watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. If you want to get in on that, hit that join button and join level number 2. And thank you to the super chats that came in today, the member chats. Thank you for being a member. If you are, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you're watching live or after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on the tier list Dr. Loomis ranking that I had here today. Do you agree with me? Do you not? Or anything else I had to say here today on today's show? Jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. That is going to do it for me. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. It's hump day. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And I will talk to you all very soon. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.